Hey everybody, Scruffed here. Welcome back to Farming Simulator 25. Right, it's that time again. We're carrying on with the Farming Bible, looking at all the animals. We started off by looking at crops and seeing which was what crop made the most money, really. But yeah, now it's time to move over to chickens. We've already done dairy cows, we've done sheep, goats, we've done beef stock, and we've done buffalo. So now it's time for the chickens. Eventually we'll get on to pigs, and then I'll probably finish off on the horses. I think that's every single one of them. I don't think I've missed anything there, but yeah, this will be an interesting one with the chickens because they're quite easy to look after and they don't consume much, and they're surprisingly pretty good. But let's get into the numbers and we can talk about it more. So if you've seen one of the videos before on the other animals, when I've asked the question, how much do sheep make or dairy stock make, you'll know the format of how I've done my spreadsheet. It's all in one spreadsheet. Just want to point out again, like every other video, if you want to get your hands on to this spreadsheet, join my Discord server. It's in there for free. It's free to join, free to download. Just come into the Discord server and that's where it is. And I'm keeping it up to date and adding in new tabs as and when I've done the video and got all the data. So we're starting off by looking at the price of the actual chicken as it grows up and gets older. So there is no breeds in the game. They're all the same. It pretty much just plays down a chicken and it can randomly spawn a different breed visually, but there is no benefit for either or, and you can't specify yourself which one you want to pick. You can feed the chickens 3 different types. It comes under one category, which is basically grain. So you can feed them either wheat, barley, or sorghum, and there's no difference. So if you choose one or the other, you're not going to get any benefit. There's no higher yield in eggs or anything like that, and the price doesn't go up for the chicken. So keep that in mind. I do look at it at the end when I do an example of what I'd probably do and the best way to go about it, and figuring out which one probably is the best grain to use just for cost reasons. And it's important to do that because some give off higher yields, and if you turn it into feed, it's important to look at the yield more than anything else, really. So anyway, the starting price as of when you buy the chickens and put them into your chicken pen or chicken coop is just 0. There's no value to them at the starting price. Obviously you have to pay for them originally, but as soon as you've done that, they'll go in as 0. After 3 months, they go up to £13, 6 months, £25, and then it's £25 after that. So after 6 months, you've already hit the maximum price, which is really good because if you are breeding out and selling chickens for meat, or just selling them basically to market from your pen, because you can't actually transport them in base game. I'm certain there'll be some mods coming out at some point where you can transport chickens if you really want to do that. But currently you can just sell them through the animal menu basically for the chicken coop or pasture that you've got for them. So yeah, 6 months is the best time to sell, which is actually really good because it doesn't take too long to get to it, and you're going to make £25 per chicken. And they breed like machine guns. They're just popping them out all the time. That's pretty much the gist of it. As you can see, best time to sell, 6 months. We've already spoken about that. But yeah, they start breeding at 5 months old. The first chick's at 7, which is a reproduction rate of 2 months. So basically the next chick will be at 9 months and 11 months and so on. So in a 36-month period, one chicken's going to have 15 chicks, which is crazy. But because they're only £25 a pop, it's not going to be crazy money at the same time, but it is good if you want to do that. It's just storing this amount of animals. I mean, the biggest chicken coop you can see in game holds about 320, I think it is. So, if you'd need a lot of them to try and hold all these chickens, and you can't even transport them anyway. So you'd have to wait for a mod just to even transport them over. So I think what's probably best to do is, I don't even know, to be honest, because they're going to be throwing them out every 2 months. Probably the best thing to do if you're breeding chickens is get obviously the biggest one, put maybe about 50 in there, and then just keep letting them breed out 50 every 2 months, and then just sell them as soon as you can. 6 months if you can fit that many in. You'd have to really think about it, but it's not something I've done. I'm focusing more on eggs because of the fact that eggs is the way to go. It makes really good money. So the income from selling the total of chicks is 6 months. So if you do find a way of doing it, let me know actually in the comment section if you have a plan for that, if you are going to be breeding out chickens for meat, because it is the most common source of meat that we all eat. As the human race, the most common source of meat is chicken. So it's not like it wouldn't be well known. It's quite common to do. But yeah, if you sold them all, so all 15 at 6 months, you'd make £375. So looking at feed now, really easy this one is. Like I said, wheat, barley, sorghum does the exact same. And within the first 6 months of their life, they consume 30 litres per chicken. Same again in the next 6 months. So basically in a year, they're consuming 60 litres per chicken. And it's the same all the way through. So even from month 0, from when they're born to the first year, it's 60 litres per year. Same for year 2, same for year 3 and year 4. And it's just going to stay the same all the way through. So it's so easy to think of it like this. It's just basically how many chickens you've got. Well, each chicken you've got will consume 60 litres. So if you've got, say, 50 chickens, you can just basically times 60 by 50, and that's how much feed you're going to require in a period of 12 months for them chickens. So I just quickly want to throw up the price of eggs because there's nothing else. It's a really easy one to do, unlike other animals that I've done, because there's no production directly tying into eggs. Yes, we can use eggs in cakes, and I think that's the only thing I can think of top of my head. Maybe bread as well, I think. But yeah, there's nothing that ties directly in. So I don't want to add that in as a production, for example, cakes, because you require so many other things. So I'm just looking at eggs. The best time to sell for me, I saw, was November. I got 4,300. Worst time was April at 2,500. So there is quite a range there from the lowest to the highest. So it's worth saving your eggs and selling them at that best time, because this is on normal difficulty, and jumping from 2,500 to 4,300, I think it's well worth the wait. Right, so the most important bit, how much do they produce when it comes to eggs? This is what makes the money when it comes to chickens. So in the first 12 months, they produce 40 litres of eggs per chicken. And the reason it's lower than year 2, year 3 and 4 is just because you have to wait for that period when they start actually producing eggs. But 40 litres is very close to what they do anyway, which is 60 litres per year. So you can think of it like this. For every 1 litre of feed a chicken consumes, it will make 1 litre of eggs. So that's really easy to tie in, because you know that, yeah, you've got 60 litres of eggs per chicken, but you've also got them consuming 60 litres of feed. So really nice and easy to kind of manage that is. So I've already spoke about the best price witness for eggs, but let's have a look at the actual income if we relate it to that. So in the first 12 months, a chicken with the 40 litres of eggs they make, if sold at the best time, which you're obviously not because you're going to wait for the pallet anyway, but if you did, it would be £172. So not bad really per chicken, because we usually tend to have quite a few chickens. So year 2, year 3, year 4, it's 258. So in a period of 4 years, per chicken, they will make £946 worth of eggs, which isn't bad at all. So let's get on to the example then, because this bit actually tells us quite a lot. Because what I tried to do was put it in a 3-year period, but also have one of the most common chicken coops, I think, in the game. There's a lot that can hold 20 chickens. There's one that's massive that holds 320, I think it is, or 360. But there's one that's 30 chickens. It's the one I'm using on my Let's Play on Riverbend Spring right now. And I think that's a decent number of chickens. Obviously, it's not very good for breeding because you can't really hold many. But if you've just got 30 chickens in there and they're there just to produce eggs, I think this is a really good example to go from. So the feed them 30 chickens would consume in 3 years is only 5,400 litres, which is really good going. Now, the eggs they produce, them 30 chickens in the 3-year period, would be 4,800. And even though I've said to you that 1 litre of feed will produce 1 litre of eggs, you've got to keep in mind that in that first year, they're not producing as much because they have to wait to get to age to start producing eggs. But every year after that, it's basically 60 to 60. So it's really easy to work out, but they would produce less eggs in 4 years because of the fact, them first growing years for the 30 chickens do take an effect on that. 30 chickens, though, would produce 450 chicks. So if you found a way of selling all them, let me know, because, right now it's pretty much, I don't know, it'd be impossible to transport them anyway because we haven't got any mod like that yet. But it'd be interesting because 450 chickens at £25 a pop isn't too bad. So I've put in there what it would be, which is 11,250 if you sold them at 6 months, which is the best time to sell. But the most important bit there is the amount that you'd make off eggs. So the 4,800 litres of eggs in a 3-year period, which is only it's just under 5 pallets really of eggs, would make us 20,645, which isn't bad going at all, because if you had say 10 of these chicken coops, you can then make 200,000 in 3 years, which I think's really easy money for chickens that don't consume much grain at all. So what I wanted to do next is show which is the best feed to give to the chickens, like which is the best feed type. Now we've got three. We've got wheat, barley and sorghum. So what I did was take the numbers from my crop section of the farming Bible that I'm making, and I looked at field 4 where I did all the yields, and I wanted to know which one gave me the most, because the more feed we've got, the better it is, and the longer we can feed our chickens. So I got the highest yield in field 4 from barley. So I added in the best price to sell them crops, because I wanted to know how much that crop was worth to me. Because if I can make more money selling it direct, say for example if I sold 5,400 litres of wheat, how much money would I get if I sold it at the best time, compared to what I could turn that into with chickens? So you can see the cost of the required feed, if sold, was around 3,900 for wheat, 3,700 for barley, and 5,179 for sorghum. So to me there, sorghum's the worst one to use because it costs the most. The best one to use is barley because it costs the least and it gives us the highest yield. So I then put in the income from the eggs that I get, and I wanted to give you a percentage difference, which is what you're going to look at to see how much that feed, when given to chickens, would increase by when you sell it as eggs. So, you're turning basically that barley into eggs in effect because you're feeding it to the chickens. And we'd get a 457% increase in our value. So it'd go up from £3,704 worth of barley fed to chickens, that then would give us £20,645 worth of eggs. So make sure you're feeding your chickens barley, even though wheat is very close at 423%. But just don't do sorghum because you don't get as much of it and it costs more anyway. So it makes sense for me to go with barley or wheat, but barley's probably the best one. Right, so there we go. Pretty easy and straightforward. Not too much involved with chickens, which is how it should be. The small animals to have on your farm, you feed them a few litres of grain and they'll give you some eggs in return. Not too bad. So it's always nice to have just a chicken coop like that. That's the one that I've got on my farm in game right now. It holds 30 chickens and it does the job. But that over there that holds 360, if you look at the numbers for only 30 chickens, the potential of that is incredible. It really is. So, yeah. And I think it's only like, let's just have a quick look here, because I think it's only like 80,000 or 90,000 or something. Yeah, it's 80,000. So 80,000 to place that down, and it holds 360 chickens. So, using the spreadsheet, you can work out how much feed they require. You can also figure out how much 360 chickens will give you in eggs, and then what the potential is that, per year, also what it is in a 3-year period. And you can figure out as well then how much feed you're going to need to grow. And barley will, it's definitely important then to probably do barley, because you've got 360 chickens, which are going to require, a lot more feed. But it shouldn't be too much. If 30 chickens only require, 5,400 litres, it's not going to be crazy numbers. So that's basically 180 litres per chicken in 3 years. So if I times that now by 360, you would need 64,800 litres of barley to feed all them chickens in 3 years. And, with that, they give you a lot. Let's try and work that out for you now quickly. So I've just worked out very quickly that each chicken in 3 years is going to make you £688.166. So, yeah, quite a lot actually in 3 years. So if you times that by 360, you're going to make £247,000 from having that chicken coop in front of us. So if you can get the 50,000 litres of feed of barley, you'll make $250,000. So I think that says everything. Chickens are pretty decent and easy. I mean, you can't ask for more than that, can you? Right, so on that note then, I'll leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you found it informative, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this one on Farming Simulator. See you, everybody.